welcome back to Prime Wealth. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Today we're diving into something really important: generational wealth and how to pass that money to your kids.
Exactly. I mean, it's such a crucial topic, right? A lot of us want to leave a legacy, not just for our kids, but also to help them build a solid financial foundation.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the money itself. It's about teaching them the values and habits that come with it too.
Yeah, for sure. So in this episode, we're going to cover some practical tips on how to create that wealth and, how to communicate effectively with your kids about money.
Right. And we'll also discuss some common pitfalls to avoid, because it can be a tricky conversation sometimes.
Totally. And we'll share some personal stories too, which I think will make it relatable. It's all about making this topic a little less intimidating.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Just think of it as a journey, one step at a time.
So stick around, folks. We've got some great insights coming your way.
Let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, let's dive in. So Alex, today we're diving into something that's super important for our listeners: generational wealth and how to pass money to our kids.
Yeah, absolutely, Jordan. It's a big topic, especially for folks over 40. Many people in that age group are really starting to think about what they'll leave behind, not just financially, but also in terms of values and lessons.
Right, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people might feel like, oh, I don't have enough to worry about generational wealth, but honestly, even small amounts can really add up over time.
Exactly. A lot of research has shown that just having those conversations about money, even if it's not a huge sum, can set the stage for your kids' financial futures. And, the earlier you start, the better.
Yeah, and I've seen statistics that say about 70% of families lose their wealth by the second generation, and that's pretty staggering. It's like people work so hard to build something, and then it just, poof, it's gone.
It really is alarming, and I think a big part of that is the lack of communication around finances. Many parents feel uncomfortable discussing money with their kids, and that can create a huge gap in knowledge.
Totally. I mean, I remember my parents never really talked about money. It was almost like a taboo subject, right? So when I started earning, I had no clue how to manage it.
Yeah, that's so common. And, a lot of people over 40 are in a unique life stage. Maybe they're starting to think about retirement, or they're helping their own parents with care, while also trying to support their kids. It's a lot.
Absolutely. It's like a juggling act. And I think that's why it's crucial to start thinking about generational wealth now, because it's not just about leaving money, it's about leaving a legacy.
Well said, Jordan. And, one of the trends we're seeing is that more people are looking at their assets and thinking about how to make them work for the next generation. Things like real estate or investments can be really powerful tools.
Right. And I've heard stories about families who invest in properties together. Like, maybe they buy a duplex and the parents stay in one unit while the kids live in the other. It's a way to share expenses and build equity. Plus, it creates those shared experiences.
Exactly. And those shared experiences can really help to bond families together. Plus, it teaches kids about responsibility and managing money in a real-world context.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that it's not just about the money itself. It's also about the confidence that comes with understanding finances.
Absolutely. When you give your kids a solid foundation in financial literacy, you're empowering them to make better choices. They'll know how to handle money, invest wisely, and avoid common pitfalls, like debt.
Oh, for sure. And, I think there's also an emotional impact to this. When parents take the time to educate their kids about finances, it shows that they care about their future, right? It's kind of like saying, I believe in you.
Yes, that's a powerful message. And it can also ease a lot of anxiety around money. When kids understand how to manage finances, they're less likely to feel overwhelmed or stressed when they face financial decisions as adults.
And it's not just about the money. It's about building a mindset, right? Teaching them to think long-term and to understand the value of saving and investing.
Exactly. I often tell parents to share their own experiences, both successes and failures. It's important for kids to see that managing money is a journey. It's not always smooth sailing.
Oh, that's so true. I think those stories really resonate. For example, If a parent shares how they saved up for their first home, or maybe how they learned to budget after making some mistakes, it makes it relatable.
Right. And, as people over 40 are often in their peak earning years, they have a unique opportunity to start building that wealth. They might be able to put money into savings accounts, retirement plans, or even start a college fund for their kids.
And let's not forget about the power of compound interest. It's like magic, really. The earlier you start saving, the more your money can grow over time.
Yes, and small contributions can lead to big results. Even if you can only set aside a little bit now, it adds up over the years. Imagine the difference that would make for your kids down the line.
That's so encouraging to hear. And I think it's important to remind our listeners that they're not alone in this. It's okay to start small, and every little bit helps.
Absolutely, Jordan. And remember, it's not just about financial contributions. Emotional support, teaching resilience, and sharing values are just as important.
Right. So it's really about creating a holistic approach to generational wealth. You're building a foundation that supports not just financial stability, but also emotional well-being.
Well said. And, as we transition into discussing some core strategies to actually implement this, I think our listeners will find that there are plenty of options, no matter what their current situation is.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into that. Let's break it down and give everyone some practical steps they can take today. So, Alex, today we're diving into a really important topic, right? Generational wealth. Like how to pass money down to our kids and grandkids.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's a big topic, and it can feel overwhelming, but, it really doesn't have to be.
Right. So where do we even start?
Well, I think the first step is understanding what generational wealth really means. It's not just about money, but also about passing down values and habits, right?
Yeah, totally. So it's not just about a big check. It's about teaching them how to manage money, too.
Exactly. One of the core strategies is to start early. The earlier you begin saving and investing, the more time your money has to grow.
So, what's a good rule of thumb for that?
A classic one is the rule of 72. You divide 72 by your investment's annual return rate to estimate how long it'll take for your money to double.
Oh, that's clever. So if you're getting, say, an 8% return, it would take about 9 years for your money to double?
Right, 9 years. And that's why starting early is so powerful. If you invest a little bit now, it can turn into a lot later.
And what about, accounts for kids?
Great question. A custodial account or a 529 plan for college savings are both solid options. A custodial account allows you to save for anything, while a 529 is specifically for education.
So if I wanted to set up a 529 for my kids, what's the first step?
You'd want to look into your state's plan, as they can vary. Most allow you to open an account with a small initial contribution, like $25 or $50, which is pretty manageable.
That's not too bad. And what about the investment options?
Usually, they offer a range of choices, from conservative to aggressive. You can pick based on how far away your kids are from college. The younger they are, the more aggressive you might want to be.
That makes sense. So if I start now, I can take advantage of that growth before they head off to college.
Exactly. And remember, it's also about automating those contributions. Set up automatic transfers from your bank account to make it easier.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's like paying yourself first, right?
Exactly. And it builds the habit of saving. Another strategy is teaching your kids about money management as they get older.
Right, so how do we do that?
One way is to involve them in everyday financial decisions. Like, if you're budgeting for groceries, let them see how you plan it out. Or when you're saving for a family trip, talk about the costs involved.
That's a good idea. Making it relatable helps them understand the importance of managing money.
Yes, and consider giving them a small allowance too. It allows them to practice budgeting and saving for things they want.
Oh, for sure. And you can encourage them to save a portion for long-term goals, like a car or college.
Right. It's about building those good habits early. And another practical tip is to set up a family meeting, like quarterly, to discuss finances.
A family finance check-in? I love it. It opens the conversation about money and invites everyone to participate.
Exactly. And it can create a culture of transparency around finances, which is so important.
So, what about life insurance? How does that fit into all of this?
Life insurance can play a big role in generational wealth. It can provide a safety net for your loved ones and ensure they're taken care of if something happens to you.
Right, and it can also help cover things like college costs or paying off a mortgage.
Exactly. And it's essential to review your policy regularly to make sure it meets your family's needs as they change.
So, it's about more than just having the insurance. It's about having the right kind at the right time.
Yes. And, I think it's also crucial to have a will and an estate plan in place.
Oh, for sure. It can feel a bit daunting, but it's so important.
It really is. A will ensures that your assets are distributed according to your wishes and can help avoid family disputes down the line.
And having a trust can make it easier to manage those assets for your kids, especially if they're young.
Right. Trust can provide guidance on how and when your kids receive their inheritance, which can be really beneficial.
Wow, there's so much to think about. But it sounds like if we take these steps, we can really set our kids up for success.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about the money, but also instilling values around hard work and financial responsibility.
So true. And it sounds like we're really creating a legacy, not just financially, but in terms of mindset.
Well said. But before we wrap up, let's touch on some common pitfalls people should avoid when trying to build and pass down generational wealth.
Yes, that sounds important. Let's get into those next. So, Alex, today we're diving into something really important, right? Generational wealth and the common pitfalls people face when trying to pass money down to their kids.
Yeah, absolutely, Jordan. It's such a big topic, and so many folks really want to do it right, But there are definitely some missteps that can happen along the way.
Oh, for sure. I think one of the biggest mistakes is not having a clear plan. Like, people might just assume their kids will know what to do with the money, right?
Exactly. And that assumption can lead to a lot of problems. I've seen families where the parents think, well, I'll just give my kids some money when I'm gone. But they don't take the time to teach them about financial responsibility first.
Right, so it's kind of like handing over a car to someone who doesn't know how to drive. You wouldn't do that, would you?
Exactly. And the reality is, if kids aren't educated about managing money, they might end up making poor decisions. For instance, I worked with a family where the grandparents left a substantial inheritance, but the kids just blew through it in a couple of years.
Oh no. That must have been tough to watch. What happened?
Well, it was heartbreaking, really. They bought flashy cars, took expensive vacations, and didn't think twice about it. By the time they realized what they'd done, most of the money was gone, and they were left scrambling.
Wow, that's a real cautionary tale. So what do you think is a good way to prevent that kind of situation?
I think the first step is communication. Parents should start talking to their kids about money early on. It doesn't have to be super formal, Just simple discussions about saving, spending, and investing.
That makes so much sense. It's like building a foundation for them, right?
Exactly. And you want to involve them in the process. Maybe take them to the bank, show them how to manage an account, even let them make small decisions with a budget.
I like that idea. It's like giving them a taste of responsibility without overwhelming them.
Right. And another pitfall I see is expecting kids to automatically appreciate what they've received. Just because you worked hard to build wealth doesn't mean they'll see it the same way.
That's a really good point. It's kind of like how some kids might take things for granted, especially if they've always had it easy.
Yes, exactly. I remember a family where the parents worked tirelessly to save up for their kids' college funds. But when the time came, the kids just assumed it was their right to use that money however they wanted, without considering the sacrifices made.
That must have been frustrating for the parents. How did they handle that?
Well, they had to sit down and have a real heart-to-heart. They explained not just the what, but the why behind the savings. They shared their struggles and the hard work that went into building that fund.
That sounds like a great way to connect with them. It's not just about the money, it's about the values too.
Exactly. And that ties into another pitfall, not discussing values around money. Money isn't just numbers, right? It represents choices, values, and priorities.
So what do you suggest for parents wanting to instill those values?
Well, I think modeling behavior is key. If parents are making wise financial choices, their kids are likely to pick up on that. Showing them how to budget, save, and even give back to the community can really make a difference.
That's a great point. Kids learn so much from what they observe. So it's like leading by example.
Exactly. And I've seen families who do this well. They involve their kids in charitable giving, explaining why it's important to them. It creates a sense of gratitude and responsibility.
And that's so valuable in the long run. But what about the danger signs? How can parents recognize if they're heading down the wrong path?
Good question. One danger sign is if the kids show a lack of interest in money-related discussions. If they're avoiding conversations about finances or seem indifferent, that could be a red flag.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like they're tuning out something important.
Right. And another sign is if they rely heavily on others to make financial decisions for them. If they're not taking initiative or showing curiosity, that can be concerning.
So it's really about fostering independence, right?
Absolutely. Encouraging them to ask questions, seek out information, and even make small mistakes while learning is so important.
It sounds like the goal is to help them become confident decision makers.
Yes. And another pitfall, Jordan, is not having a contingency plan. Life can be unpredictable, and if a family relies solely on one inheritance or fund, they might be setting themselves up for trouble.
Oh, for sure. I mean, what if something happens to that fund or to the parents?
Exactly. Families should have open discussions about what happens in various scenarios. Having a plan B can save a lot of heartache down the road.
So it's really about preparing them for life, not just handing over money.
Spot on! And I think the last thing I'd emphasize is the importance of reviewing and adjusting the plan over time. As kids grow, their needs and understanding of money will change.
Yeah, so it's not a set it and forget it situation, right?
Not at all. It's about ongoing conversations and adapting the approach as necessary.
Wow, Alex, this has been such an enlightening discussion. So, in a nutshell, it's really about communication, modeling good behavior, and having a solid plan, right?
Exactly. And if anyone finds themselves in a tricky situation, it's never too late to start those conversations and rebuild.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing your insights today, Alex. I think our listeners will really benefit from this.
My pleasure, Jordan. I hope everyone feels encouraged to take those steps towards building a strong financial legacy for their families.
So, Alex, now that we've talked about the importance of generational wealth and the mindset around it, what are some immediate steps folks can take, like right now, to start building that legacy for their kids?
Yeah, absolutely, Jordan. I think a great first step is simply having a conversation with your kids about money. It doesn't have to be a big formal talk. Just casual discussions about saving, budgeting, and the value of money can really set the stage.
Right, like just integrating it into daily life. I love that. What about tools or apps? Are there any specific recommendations you have for people over 40 who might, be a bit less tech savvy?
Sure. There are some really user-friendly apps out there. For budgeting, I'd recommend something like YNAB or You Need a Budget. It's straightforward, and it helps you allocate your funds intentionally, which is, super important.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's really about giving every dollar a job, right?
Exactly. And for saving, an app like Digit can be really helpful. It automatically saves small amounts of money for you without you even noticing it. So over time, that adds up.
That's so clever. What about investment apps?
Well, if you're looking to get your kids involved in investing, you could consider an app like Acorns. It rounds up your purchases and invests the spare change. It's a really simple way to start investing without feeling overwhelmed.
That sounds like a fun way to get them engaged. And what about, habits? Are there specific ones you'd suggest people start building now?
Definitely. One habit I always recommend is regularly reviewing your financial goals. Maybe set a monthly check-in with yourself or your partner if you have one. Just sit down, see where you're at, and adjust as needed. It keeps you accountable.
That makes sense. It's like giving yourself a little financial tune-up every month.
Exactly. And another habit is to encourage your kids to have a savings goal. Whether it's for a new bike or a video game, helping them save up for something teaches them about patience and the value of money.
Yeah, I love that. It's practical and teaches them life skills. So what about books? Any titles you'd recommend that are great for families or parents?
Oh, for sure. One of my favorites is The Opposite of Spoiled by Ron Lieber. It dives into teaching kids about money without spoiling them, which is a balance a lot of parents struggle with.
That sounds really insightful. I think a lot of parents want to give their kids opportunities, but also want them to understand how to manage money, right?
Absolutely. And another good one is Money Savvy Kids by Jamie Kyle. It's more geared towards younger kids, but lays the groundwork for financial literacy in a fun way.
Super helpful. So if someone feels overwhelmed by all this, where should they start?
I'd say just pick one area to focus on. Maybe start with budgeting or having those conversations about money. It doesn't have to be all at once. Small steps can lead to big changes over time.
Yeah, that's a great point. You don't have to overhaul your entire financial life in a week. It's about making progress, right?
Exactly. And if you can, get your kids involved in whatever step you choose. It makes it more meaningful and helps them learn through experience.
So if someone wanted to create a simple checklist to get started, what might that include?
Great idea. So first, have a family money talk. Then, set up a budget using an app like YNAB. Next, choose a saving app, maybe Digit, to automate some savings. After that, pick one book to read together as a family. Finally, set a monthly check-in to track your progress.
That sounds totally doable. And it's encouraging to think that all these little actions can build towards something bigger, like generational wealth.
Yes, and remember, it's not just about the money. It's about the lessons and values you're passing down. That's what really matters.
Absolutely. And I think the more we normalize these discussions, the less intimidating they become, right?
Exactly. The more we talk about money, the more comfortable everyone becomes. It's all about building that foundation for future generations.
Well, Alex, this has been such a great conversation, and I feel like we've given our listeners some really actionable steps to take.
I hope so. It's all about taking those small steps, and they can lead to significant changes over time.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights today, Alex. I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to take action.
My pleasure, Jordan. I'm glad to be a part of this conversation.
And to our listeners, remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just start where you are and take it one step at a time.
Exactly.
We'll catch you all next time on Prime Wealth.
So, well, Jordan, I think we really covered some important ground today.
Absolutely, Alex. I mean, we talked about how crucial it is to start planning early for generational wealth, right?
Yeah, and we also touched on the importance of teaching kids about money so they can manage it wisely when the time comes.
Right, and let's not forget about the role of communication in families. Like, having those open conversations about finances can really make a difference, you know?
Definitely. And the last point we made was about creating a legacy that reflects your values. It's not just about money, but also about what you leave behind in terms of lessons and beliefs.
Well said, Alex. So to everyone listening, remember, it's never too late to start thinking about your financial legacy, and every step counts.
That's right. Whether it's having those chats with your kids or just setting up a simple savings plan, you're paving the way for a brighter future.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment below.
Yeah, and don't forget to share this with someone you know who's over 40. It could really help them out.
Exactly. And next time, we're going to dive into something really exciting. Minimalism and money. Less stuff, more wealth.
Oh, that's going to be a great one. I can't wait to explore how simplifying our lives can actually enhance our financial well-being.
Me too. So, until then, take care of yourselves, and remember, every small step you take is a step toward a wealthier future.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate you. See you next time.